going on, everybody? My name is Datir, and welcome to The Conversation. So, this topic I want to talk to you guys about children. And if you are a parent and you have children in your household currently, or if you had children in your household, I don't have any children. So, y'all, I'm just giving y'all a perspective right now. So, I really want people to be able to leave comments down below, tap in with me, let me know what you think about the topic. So, when it comes to children, I want to know about the conversation that you guys are having with your children in the household, as far as what do you think is very important to talk to your children about when it comes to developing your child's mental, their emotional state of being, structure, and so forth. Like, what is the culture in your household? Um, Sometimes we have like a mindset, I feel like, of what we believe that we want versus what we actually do when it comes to our household, how we might want to run our household. So also when it comes to how you was raised and what you say, what you do not want to do, what you don't want to implement in your home because you've seen the negative effect or how something affected you. So you try not to do that. So when it comes to your household, when it comes to your children and your wife or your significant other, do you guys sit around a table and eat together, dine together? Is that something that is meaningful to you, or do you guys eat in separate rooms? Do it mean something to you if you do not dine together? Does it mean something to you if you're not actually preparing a meal, but you always buy food out? Like, how do you guys feel this affects the family union when it comes to a young woman learning how to cook for her family, or a young man learning how to cook for his family? Like, is these things important to you in your household? So I was having a conversation the other day about a young woman being able to go get birth control without her parents' consent. It rubbed me the wrong way when I heard it. But again, I don't have children. I don't. My mind wasn't open to different scenarios where a young lady might need to do this without having a parent consent. If maybe she doesn't have loving parents, maybe she's in a home where she has parents that's not very attentive to her, or a single parent household, be it a mother or a father or grandparents or whatever it may be. I was hearing in this conversation that I was having that a young woman might feel shame or embarrassed, or didn't want, the parent or guardians to know. She could be in a situation to where it could be like a molestation type of situation. That right there gets real touchy, and do not want to end up getting impregnated, in different situations. So sometimes you might not feel comfortable talking to the so-called parent or guardian that's in place, and you want to be able to protect yourself in that way. So I didn't think about all those different levels of it, because in my perspective and mindset, I was thinking about if I had my own daughter and she was trying to get on birth control without consulting with me or her mother. Now, you might not feel comfortable talking to the man, but not even your mother. But I guess it's different depending on how that mother is. If she's loving, caring, if you have a good rapport or relationship with your mother, and hopefully, mothers, do their best to make their daughters feel comfortable coming to them about things like that. But it came off to me at first mention that this person's trying to be sneaky, and trying to be grown and doing grown activities. Uh, and I was only thinking about a young lady being in a loving household where a father and mother is raising their children together in the best way they can, and trying to have an open conversation with their children about different things. And to me, sex was one of those things that was very important to have when it came to. I was wondering, why would you want to go get on birth control without consulting with either at least your mother about what you're doing? So that's what brought up this conversation to me, to ask parents out there, males and females, couples and singles, what type of conversations are you having? Not just about sex, not just about um, or intimacy, but also about relationships with people, like dating. The appropriate age you feel like that a person should focus on dating, about everyday life, about their emotional state of mind, um, how to control their emotions, Like, how many conversations do you have? Or are you just letting your kids kind of be like, well, my kids, they're young, I'm just letting them enjoy life, be kids. But what is the age that you start giving them these lessons, to prepare them? Because I feel like, again, I don't have children. I have to stress that because my perspective definitely would change once I have children. So, but I also understand that you might not always be here to give those lessons. We never know what can happen between day to day, week to week, month to month, year to year. So the lessons that you are able to give right now, I think, is very important at whatever age. You might not talk about certain things at certain ages, but what lessons are you just focused on? Are they so young right now to where now you're limiting the conversation that you might not ever get to have? Hopefully that's not the case. So I wanted to bring this conversation to the platform and figure out these type of things because I know, coming from a person who don't have children, that the perspective can be very off and very different. I believe a lot in my perspective on a lot of things, but also I still understand that without the experience of certain things, without having that type of connection with an actual child that's yours, that it can change. And I'm not saying yours as far as a stepmom or stepdad, anything like that, but actually being in a situation to where you're dealing with a child day in and day out, it does change. But I still have a perspective on it. So for me, when it comes to a young person being sexual at a very young age, wanting to get on birth control, or your son using condoms and stuff like that, I feel like that's a very sticky area. But I feel like that having a relationship is perhaps needed for you to learn certain things, but at the same time, understanding what is the purpose. Being intimate with someone at a very young age does not constitute you being in a relationship. You are not um, obligated to be intimate with someone that you're just dating. Especially when it comes to your emotions getting tied into someone, especially when it comes to you potentially having to go through some type of uh, disease that you can encounter because people are being loose with who they're engaging with intimately, with different people. The mindset of you going into a relationship with someone, or not even a relationship, but trying to be intimate with someone just for the act of having intimacy. That perspective already makes me think some type of way about that individual person because you are making a decision and a choice that could affect you instantly, from getting someone pregnant, or the emotion roller coaster that you might be going on because you're some young girl talking to an upperclassman thinking, he likes you, whatever, and not having someone like your mother or your father or both that can talk to you through these steps to understand that your mother might be like, I've been your age, young lady. I've done that. I've been there. You know, your heart can be hurt. It can get broken. People are who've been there before. Apparently, they're trying to protect you from the heartaches and pains that they have experienced from them making their own choices, either it being right or wrong. These are decisions that you're going to go through, but you shouldn't go through things and make the same mistakes that someone else has already done before you. That's very foolish. Only a fool despises correction. So when it comes to someone who's already lived life, usually your parent, it's very discomforting to me that a child will overlook that their parents been here for X amount of years and experienced so much, and the fathers know how they probably was when it came to young girls, what they was trying to do, what they was saying just to get what they wanted. But again, it kind of goes back to what is in this child's mind. A parent can try to teach a child a lot of things. Doesn't mean that the child's going to listen to every lesson, and they might defy on a lot of different things. So I'm not saying that the parent is at fault, but also what conversations are you having with your children? Because for a young man, I know my grandfather and my grandmother wasn't, they dropped out of school when they was 15 years old, and they was married at 17, and they had 7 children. My grandmother never worked. My grandfather worked many jobs, and he provided. But he provided, had his own home, and he provided for 7 children. He brought in his sister and his nephew, and so he had 7 children, him and my grandmother, so that's 9. and then he brought in his sister and her child. So that's 11. He has the only income in the home. So my thing is that my grandfather was a man's man. Didn't do everything right, but he did provide for his household. Again, my grandmother never worked a day in her life. So if you out here being intimate with someone as a man, like these young women, and you get them pregnant, it's a mindset that you thinking it's okay for you to have a baby, but now this woman, you're not obligated to be with her just because you got her pregnant. I understand that ideology, but it's like, what are we teaching when it comes to relationships, when it comes to being intimate with someone? Because you're only with this person because of intimacy. You're not thinking about your reason of wanting to be with this woman in this way, or the reason why you want to be with this man in this way and get pregnant by him and end up being a baby mama or something at such a young age and not really get into your life and your career because you're so young. So outside of the intimate part, it's also the relationship part. So I don't want to stay on that too long. I also want to just go into just the everyday conversations about life, about what a child might be feeling. Are we as parents sitting down having these conversations? But what conversations are you having? What conversation do you feel like is uh, acceptable between what age groups and things like that? I'm interested again because I love to gain perspective in people who have children, either it be children of your own, if you're a stepfather having to invest into a child, um, a young lady or a young man, whatever it may be. What have y'all, what have you guys experienced when it comes to things like this? As a mother, do you have a close relationship with your daughters? You know, do the daughters have close relationships with their mothers? You know, what is the comfort level of conversations? So this is something that I feel like that for me, I would want to have. Not saying that would happen, but I would want to have a very like good culture in my home of beliefs. I would like to be able to sit at a table with my family and be able to speak with my wife and speak with my children and us to have conversations. I'll be wanting to be able to have one-on-ones with my son and teaching him life lessons and just anything out there cutting wood, cutting grass, teaching him about the length of the grass and the weed eaters and stuff like that, having them on the tractors and, stuff like that. Like the things that I remember as a child growing up, and whatever things that women do with their daughters, from doing your nails and being girly and whatever you teach them about her transition from a little girl to being, a woman eventually, how she should carry herself and, how she should think to a certain extent. You want her to be herself, her own personality and so forth for the male. But what are the principles that you think is very important as far as you've been living as a parent? What have you experienced? And what do you feel like that's very vital for your children to know? So anyway, y'all, it's been my time. Let me know what you guys think about the topic. Leave comments below. Please like, share, and subscribe to the channel. This has been my time. My name is Datir. It's one love from me to you. Remember, it's progress, not perfection. You rest in the end, not the middle. My name is Datir, and welcome to The Conversation.